This is Stephen Schmidt for InsiderIowa.com. Yesterday, on Tuesday, we had a series of primaries that were very interesting, and the news media, of course, went crazy and decided that these were national elections and they wanted to extrapolate from them meaning. You know, it's kind of like chicken bones and tea leaves. You want to make something bigger out of things than maybe they really are. Um, in in Pennsylvania, there was an election in which the incumbent Arlen Specter was badly defeated by his opponent in a primary, and I analyzed this. You can go read about it in Insider Iowa. I have a little article about this whole election, and you know, to me, honestly, the upset in Pennsylvania with Mr. Sestak, former Congressman Sestak, winning and Arlen Specter losing was not a big surprise. Um, Mr. Sestak is a very attractive looking, energetic, slightly graying uh, former vice admiral and um, has experience in Congress. Arlen Specter is 80 years old and has had cancer and survived it and is an admirable guy. He's fought for Pennsylvania as a Republican for many years, but he also looks old, he looks tired, and he switched parties. He was a Republican. A lot of, and then switched because he thought he couldn't get reelected as a Republican because he's not conservative enough. The whole campaign really involved this question. In a Democratic primary, are you going to vote for a Democrat like Mr. Sestak, or are you going to vote for a Republican who decided to become a Democrat in order to keep a seat in the Senate? And I don't think, in my own view, there was ever any question, you know, how that would come out. It was not a surprise. It was logical. The voters of Pennsylvania, the Democratic Party voters, made a normal and very smart choice, and I thought any pundit should have been able to predict that, and I did actually. You also had a race with Rand Paul, the son of Utah Congressman Ron Paul, for a Senate seat in Kentucky. That was a very interesting race because Rand Paul is not a politician. He's an ophthalmologist. He is a doctor, like his dad. And he basically ran as a maverick outside um, candidate against the establishment candidate who was backed by Mitch McConnell, the leader of the Republican Party in the United States, as far as I can tell, because the minority leader in the Senate these days is the leader of the Republican Party. And that was an interesting race because it basically defined the threats to establishment Republicans um, in this political season. What I mean by that is that the Republicans who are in the House and Senate have been, I think, um, running a campaign of just say no. Now, just say no is not a policy. And I think a lot of Republicans are saying, well, what is the Republican leadership position? What is the Republican Party position on health care and other things? Just saying no is not a policy. We're never going to get anywhere. And so, to me at least, in the Rand Paul case, this was a repudiation of the Republican leadership and its strategy of just saying no. I think they want more than just saying no, and Rand Paul gave them that. By the way, Do you know who Ayn Rand is? R-A-N-D? If you don't, please Google it, because obviously Rand is not a normal first name for a person. And I don't think it's surprising that Ron Paul and Mrs. Paul named their son Rand. You know what I'm talking about? If you don't, look it up. We will continue to give you some really good insights into the upcoming races. John McCain is threatened right now in the Arizona primaries, and when that happens, we will try to give you some insight into why. By the way, this past Tuesday, the Democrats did very well in a district in Pennsylvania that is conservative, blue collar. The this was a by-election. It was an election where Congressman John Murtha had passed away, and there was an open seat. So in this election, someone actually got elected to Congress in May of 2010, which is kind of weird, but it was a by-election, and the Democrat won. So the Democrats are very pumped up about this. I would say chill out. And if you read my article in InsiderIowa.com, you will see that my own personal view is that elections are local or state. They are not national. And people make their decisions based on what the local situation is, based on what the issues are, and who the candidates are in those local elections. Please don't get distracted and think that all these races somehow are national races. They're state and local races. So keep an eye on that. We'll be back to you. Stefan Schmidt for InsiderIowa.com.